is a prose poem. It's called The Titanic, and it's inspired by Kieran Carson's Star Factory, which is a book of his memoirs. Many of you will know the story of the Titanic, a Belfast-built ship sunk as midnight loomed on her maiden voyage on Sunday, the 14th day of April, 1912. Heading to America with its triple cache of humanity, her beauty and size blinded men who should know better to the possibility of calamity. Belfast, well used to strife and the leeching of her children, knows how to deal with disaster, to commemorate loss, to seed the memory of 1,513 souls into a new millennia. So today, where once, like a god, she rose to dazzle men, we have the creation of the Titanic Quarter, its signature building, a sculptured memorial. Some of you may know that 14 years earlier, in 1898, Morgan Robertson's novel Futility, featuring a liner of a size and grandeur never before known, was published. Robertson's narrative told how the ship, he named Titan, was holed by an iceberg and sunk in the same area of the North Atlantic as the Titanic was fated to do. Titan was of the same size, was going at the same speed, and had the same capacity for human cargo as the dream now growing in Andrew's head. The aura of invincibility and supreme strength attached to both ships, real and unreal, meant sufficient lifeboats were deemed unnecessary. When the Titanic met its end, turning Robertson's make-believe imaginings into reality, futility was remembered and remarked upon. A few of you may know that 6 years earlier, in 1892, W.T. Stead, a journalist, published a short story, From the Old World to the New, a follow-up to How the Mail Steamer Went Down in Mid-Atlantic, both based on disaster at sea among the icebergs. A spiritualist, he claimed communion with a spirit guide named Julia, but how many of you know that against advice from living friends, he booked passage on the Titanic and was lost? Either the spiritualist in him dismissed those disaster writings as premonition, or the journalist in him dared to challenge fate. But that is not the end to this saga. Do any of you know that on that dreadful day, a child was born, who, 23 years later, was nearing the end of the evening watch aboard a tramp steamer bound for Canada? Spooked with the knowledge that the Titanic's doom day was also his birth date, that the ship whose boards he stood upon was named the Titanium, that visibility was poor, that he was in that same area of the North Atlantic in which so many souls had perished, and not only was it now the month of April, but the very hour of that disaster was fast approaching. William Reeves gave in to his fear of ridicule and screamed a warning. The steamer came to a halt within spitting distance of an iceberg he had not seen. Deprived of its catch, other icebergs rushed to aid their friend, intending violence to the lone intruder, like a street gang upholding territorial rights. I am pleased to report that the Titanium was escorted to safety.